India Bole Yes used to be the tagline of Yes Bank. But when on the March of 6, 2020, the Reserve Bank of India capped cash withdrawals from Yes Bank at rupees 50,000, every single investor, every single depositor that had put down their money in Yes Bank came to a state of shock and panic. The RBI also superseded Yes Bank's board, and it was all to be sold, and a Yes Bank crisis that shook everyone in the early half of 2020 emerged. Yes Bank's downfall is one of the most interesting case studies that you can hear in the Indian financial market, and in this new episode of What the Fuck Went Wrong, we're going to analyze exactly that. So, welcome to a new episode in the series. This video is going to be divided into three parts. Part 1 will deal with the history and the rise of Yes Bank. In part 2, we will focus on understanding what led to the crisis and try and explain how it all works. And finally, in part 3, we will figure out the connotations and the impact of this fraud and crisis and scam and what lies next for Yes Bank. Before we begin, a hearty reminder that you can subscribe to the channel to not miss more episodes that come out in the series, and there are playlists in the description that you can see to check out the episodes from season 1 and season 2 of What Went Wrong. So without any further ado, let's just begin understanding the rise and fall of Yes Bank. In order to fully understand what led to the downfall of a bank which was once considered a Six Sigma bank, one of the most important and prime performing banks in the country, we have to go back all the way to 1999 when three successful bankers came together to float a non-banking financial company. They were Ashok Kapoor, Harkirat Singh and their third partner Rana Kapoor. They started the Yes Bank in 2003. It was also the same year when Harkirat Singh quit due to some reasons. Yes Bank acquired a banking license in 2004 and went to the stock exchange with a really high IPO of over 300 crores. However, tragedy struck the leadership of Yes Bank when Ashok Kapoor, who was the then chairman, was at the Trident Hotel on 26 November of 2008 when he was killed in the terrorist attack. And while it was a really unfortunate event, ever since his death, the two families who wanted to get into the leadership of the bank had to get into a prolonged legal battle and have a say in the appointment of the board of directors of Yes Bank. Ashok Kapoor's family finally had a sigh of relief when the Bombay High Court ruled in their favor in 2012. And while their leadership might be the reason for the downfall of the bank, we have to also understand that their rise was phenomenal. When Yes Bank registered its IPO in 2004, it started from scratch and grew to over 570 branches in over 350 cities. Since its inception, Yes Bank had adopted best international practices with highest standard of service quality and operational excellence. It became the fastest growing bank in India. In order to get a simple idea about how good the bank was, it grew faster than its peers because of its bold and strategic decisions. Yes Bank had top quality management, it had top quality skilled workers, and also had the ability to raise funds because of foreign shareholding. The bank adopted high-class technology, made its presence in the digital banking. It became a pioneer in the usage of internet services like UPI, a simplified payment system, and a centrally established banking system. The most crucial factor that led to both the rise and fall of Yes Bank was its use of advanced risk management system to give loans to the industries, which helped the bank in making huge profits. After the 2008 global economic crisis, Yes Bank became known for giving out risky loans. And while all of that was seemingly working well for them, up till 2016, all came crashing down in the early parts of 2017, which brings us to understanding the downfall of Yes Bank. In 2017, Yes Bank reported a divergence in gross bad loans of rupees 6,355 crores. The reasons that had earlier served as the strengths for Yes Bank became its weaknesses. While earlier everyone was praising the leadership at Yes Bank, it was only because of the misgovernance and the malpractices that the bank was conducting that led to it hiding their non-performing assets. The Reserve Bank of India in 2018 and 19 estimated that Yes Bank had failed to report its NPAs of about 3,277 crores, which is what made the bank come under the scrutiny of RBI, which ultimately led to the distrust in the stakeholders and investors. The problem with Yes Bank was that their balance sheet was marred by bad loans. Yes Bank's list of bad loans include infrastructure leasing and financial services, Anil Ambani Group, GC Power, Cox and Kings, Altico, CCD, SL Group, SL Power, Vardharat Cement, and amongst a lot of other companies that had failed to return profits and return loans to the bank and defaulted on their payments. These companies were the companies that were unable to get loans from elsewhere, and Yes Bank was the only bank that was providing loans to them. This was not a new practice for Yes Bank. It used to give such loans to companies so that it could give loan at a higher interest rate and secure collateral in the forms of shares and equity against such loans. The idea was to monetize the collateral in case of the failure of the repayment of loans. The idea on which it wanted to make fortune turned against itself, since the companies to which the bank had given loans to failed disastrously, and the bank could not even use the collateral which were in the forms of shares and equity because the prices of those shares and equity touched down to the ground. Because of these bank loans, the bank even failed to raise the capital that was required to run a bank. All of this was happening amidst the rising NPAs and a drop in the leadership of the company. The problem with the leadership was that in June 2018, Yes Bank shareholders approved Rana Kapoor's reappointment as the lender's managing director, the person responsible for giving out bad loans, and CEO for 3 years starting the 1st of September in 2018. However, in September, the RBI cut his tenure till January 31st, 2019 only. On the day that the announcement was made by RBI, the Yes Bank shares tanked by over 30%. While their balance sheet was going down and they were struggling to find a new CEO, Yes Bank also missed second quarter profit estimates, provisions for bad loan and market-to-market losses doubled, and the bank's asset quality deteriorated. There was a string of resignations which were followed, including chairperson Ashok Chawla, independent directors Vasant Gujarati, Rentala Chandrasekhan, etc. And after that, the rating agency Moody's downrated Yes Bank as a lender. The final nail in the coffin came in February of 2020 when the bank, Yes Bank, delayed third quarter financial results. This development came as the bank management told RBI that it was in talks with investors for capital infusion. However, there were no concrete plans from investors indicating false assurances. And which is why on 5th of March 2020, RBI imposed a 30-day moratorium on Yes Bank with the absence of a credible revival plan. So, in order to summarize the importance of this mismanagement and scam, Yes Bank's downfall was caused by their management and their leadership's malpractices in giving out bad loans years after years, and they risked everything, and the result was that Yes Bank, which used to be one of the most premium banks in the country, had to come crashing down and failing. Which brings us to what is next and current scenario for Yes Bank. The end for Yes Bank came quite as an anticlimactic because everyone could see that the bank was coming crashing down. The Reserve Bank of India had drafted a plan for Yes Bank which proposes that the money for depositors would be protected. The employees would also have the same service conditions, including their salaries and remuneration, at least for 1 year. The State Bank of India, which has received board approval to invest in Yes Bank, will pick up to a 49% stake in Yes Bank. SBI also cannot reduce its holding below 26% before the completion of 3 years from the date of infusion of the capital. Quite a predictable end to the journey of a bank which took such high risks, achieved such high goals, achieved such high milestones, and then came crashing down. And I think that's it for the story of Yes Bank. Hope we do not see such occurrences in the future in the banking and the fintech space in the country. And thank you so much for watching it till the end. Hope there are improvements in the future here. And if you enjoyed watching this video up till this point, might I request you to leave a like and a comment as to what was your favorite part. Because it motivates me to make more such videos. I would request you to check out the playlist in the description and the cards. There are a lot more case studies and episodes in this exact series. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because a new video comes out a lot of times every week. If you're new here, make sure you check out the previous videos before you consider subscribing. And that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching it till the end. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.